Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Illusion Hashtag. Today we are not just talking biology. We are talking about root access. Ever wondered if you could actually wire trap a human cell? Scientists have been doing it since 70s and it's basically the ultimate biohack. We are diving deep into the patch clamp technique. It's how we decode the electrical language of life itself. Strap in because we are about to bridge the biological mainframe. Let's go. All right, let's look at the hardware. Most people think the body is just flesh and bone, but real one knows it's actually a massive weight-wired electrical mainframe. Check this out. Every single thought you have, every heartbeat, even that muscle tweak when you are gaming, it's all powered by electricity. But it's not flowing through copper wires. It's powered by ion flowing through these microscopic gated channels in your cell membrane. This is the system architecture of life. If you want to understand how the human OS actually functions, we have to look at these tiny gates. They are the codes. But here's the catch, or as we call it in lab, the major bug in our plan. We have two massive obstacles preventing us from getting the data. First, the scale. The electrical currents are infinitesimally small. We are hunting picoampere. That's trillionth of a single ampere. To put that in perspective, trying to record one ion channel is like trying to hear a single whisper in the middle of a screaming stadium. Second, we have a hardware problem. How do you wire trap a single microscopic lipid gate without instantly nuking the fragile cell membrane it lives in? Standard probes are just way too destructive. If we are going to get it, we need a legendary exploit, and that's where the patch clamp comes in. Welcome to the biological internet. And let me tell you, it is deafeningly quiet. Right now, your cells are firing off electrical signals to keep you alive. But the signal to noise ratio, it's a total nightmare. On the left, you see the background noise, a chaotic mess of electrical static from the whole cell. On the right is your target, a single clean blip from a channel. We are talking about picoampere. That's 10 to the minus 12 ampere. Without a hack, the signal is just too weak to read. We need to isolate it. We need the exploit. Enter the OG hackers of the bio world, Neher and Sekman. Back in 1976, these two absolute legends developed the ultimate biological micro tool. Their hardware of choice, a simple glass pipette with a microscopic opening. It sounds basic, but this piece of glass was the exploit that finally let us record tiny ion current flowing through a single channel for the first time in history. This was not just a win for the lab, it was a total game changer. They literally won the 1991 Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine for the breach. They did not just find a workaround, they opened the door to the entire field of electrophysiology. Alright, it's time for hack initialization. We are moving in for the breach. Step 1 is the approach. We take that microscopically thin glass pipette, load it with a conductive electrolyte solution, which basically mimics the cell's own internal fluid, and lower it directly onto the cell surface. It's all about the positioning here. Step 2, mild suction. We apply a tiny vacuum on the back of the pipette. This isn't just a pull, it's a surgical move that draws a small bubble of the cell membrane slightly up into the glass tube. We are not breaking it yet. We are just getting close enough to establish the connection. This is the setup for the most famous move in electrophysiology history. And boom, Giga-Seal achieved. We call this the 10 billion Ohm Kiss because it's the moment the glass pipette and the organic membrane physically fuse together. Check these resistance specs. We have created a seal with the electrical resistance in the gigaohm range. It's literally 10 billion ohms. Why does that matter? Because it means the membrane patch is not completely electrically isolated. Zero leak. 100% of the channel's current now flow directly into our amplifier. The firewall is down. We are officially bypassed the noise. We are in. Let's recap the three-step flow for getting the root access. First, the approach. We drop the glass pipette, load it with that electrolyte solution right onto the cell surface. Then, mild suction. We heat it with a tiny vacuum. This isn't just a show, it's a pull the membrane into the glass to prep for the big move, which is the Giga-Seal. This is the magic moment. The glass and membrane fuse into a tight seal with resistance in the giga-ohm range. The result, total electrical isolation. Now that we have achieved the bridge, we need the right hardware to actually read the data. Think of this as building our own biological transponder. The probe, we are using that microscopically thin glass pipette. It's loaded with an electrolyte solution that mimics the cell's own fluid, so the cells doesn't even know we are there. Further, we need clean signal transaction. Thus, as electrode, we use silver chloride or platinum wires because they have low junction potentials. They turn biological iron flow into a current that machine can actually understand. And the amplifier, this is the heart of the rig. It is an ultra sensitive feedback block that takes those microscopic picoampere fluctuations and scale them up so we can actually see them on screen. We also use a bath electrode to set our zero level reference. It's all about isolation and amplification, signal extracted. Hardware is synced, the Giga-Seal is holding, and we are officially ready to boot the software. But before we start ripping data, we have to choose our operational mode. In patch clamp world, there are two distinct ways to read the code. First, the voltage clamp. Think of this as controlling the environment to measure the sparks. You set the voltage and see how the cell reacts. And second, the current clamp. This is the opposite. You spark the environment to measure the reaction. It all depends on your mission objective. Are we trying to dictate the membrane potential, or are we just sitting back and listening to the cell's natural electrical conversation? Choose your OS. It's time to see what's actually happening inside. Operational mode 1, voltage clamp. In this mode, we are not just watching, we are dictating the terms. Think of this as a force override of the cell membrane voltage. The protocol is simple. We clamp the voltage at a preset level and hold it there no matter what. Here's how the feedback loop works. The trigger is like when an ion channel activates, the membrane voltage tries to drop, and as an alert, the system sends an immediate alert to the amplifier. And as a counter move, the amplifier instantly fires an equal opposite current back through the pipette into to compensate the change. By recording that injected current, we can measure exactly how much ion channel activity is happening at that specific voltage. We have officially turned the amplifier into a stabilizer to see how hard the cell tries to fight back. If the technical loop sounded like a lot, just think of voltage clamp as a smart thermostat for the cell. Imagine you set your room at exactly 18 degrees C. If the window opens and the drift comes, the AC kicks into override to keep the temperature steady. In our biohack, the temperature is the voltage. Let's say we set it to minus 65 MV. Now we set the clamp at the target value. Next, the system monitors the feedback loop, comparing the actual voltage to our set point. And if the cell tries to change its potential, the amplifier injects a compensating current to fix the drift. We measure exactly how much current was needed. By seeing how much energy the machine used to keep the cell steady, we find the precise conductance of the ion channel. Simple, right? Now we are flipping the script with operational mode 2, current clamp. If voltage clamp was about control, this mode is all about listening to what cell has to say. The protocol is simple. Instead of holding the voltage steady, we inject a known controlled current pulse into the cell. And then we sit back and measure how the cell's membrane potential, its voltage, changes in response to that pulse. Look at the voltage spike on the terminal, that's the cell firing back. And for this is the gold standard for monitoring natural cellular activity. We are talking about action potentials, kinetic firing, and seeing exactly how a neuron communicates in its own language. We are not forcing the cell to be quiet anymore. We are giving it a nudge and recording the conversation. To wrap your head around the current clamp, just think of a space heater. The concept is simple. You pump out a steady, constant stream of heat. That's our current. And you measure exactly how hot the room gets. Those are the voltage spikes. We keep that injected current pulse perfectly constant, and the amplifier watches for the resulting potential changes or the voltage ripping across the membrane. This is the superpower mode for monitoring the massive macrocellular activity like action potentials or post-synaptic firing. While the smart thermostat was about control, the space heater is about seeing how the cell handle the energy we give it. Alright, let's look at the diagnostic matrix. If you are ever confused between the two, this is your cheat sheet. First, voltage clamp. One, smart thermostat. We control the membrane voltage and measure the compensating current. The goal, finding the exact conductance of a single channel. And next, current clamp, our space heater. We control the injected current and measure the membrane potential changes. This is how we monitor those massive action potentials. One control the environment to see the sparks. The other sparks the environment to see the reaction. Pick your mode based on your mission. Alright, team, we have got the seal. But here's where the real strategy comes in. One Giga-Seal actually gives you four different paths to root access. Depending on your mission, how you physically rip, tear, or suck the membrane determines exactly what data you are going to extract. First approach, cell attach. This is the standard wire trap. You stay on the outside and listen without breaking it. Next, wholesale. You go for the mainframe bridge. One brief strong suction pulse and you got access to the entire cell's electrical grid. Next, inside out. You literally flip the script here. You tear a piece of the membrane away to expose the internal chemistry to your outside bath. Last, outside out. This is the ultimate bubble. You retracted the pipette, let the membrane anneal, and you left with a perfect little vesicle to the test external signals. It's a choose your own adventures for electrophysiologists. Your physical technique is your ultimate software key. Let's going into the details. First, cell attached, also known as the wire trap. This is the original Giga-Seal in its purest form. The pipette is still tied to the outside, but the interior of the cell stays perfectly intact. No breach, no damage. And for this, think of stealth surveillance. We are wire trapping the cell's electrical signals from the outside without actually ever breaking it, and we are recording the data specifically from that tiny patch of membrane right under the pipette tip. This mode features low junction potentials and weak polarization, and we are using a bath electrode to keep our zero level steady. It's the least invasive way to get a clean signal from a single channel. Now we are stepping up to mod 2, wholesale, also known as hacking the mainframe. We start with the cell attached drill and then hit it with a brief strong suction pulse or a high voltage spark to violently disturb the patch. We are essentially smashing the door down. Once the breach is successful, the pipette interior merges to the cytoplasms. This gives us a total root access, allowing us to measure electrical potentials and currents from the entire cell simultaneously. But beware of the diffusional exchange because we have merged the systems. Our pipette solution will completely wash out and substitute the cell's membrane internal chemistry within 1 to 2 minutes. We get the big picture data, but you are rewriting the source code while you're doing it. Tactical trade-off, guys. Alright, so remember that washout bug from the wholesale breach? We have a stealthy workaround for that, the perforated patch. Standard wholesale recording is too messy. It washes out the vital internal cell chemistry we actually need to see. Thus, we load our pipette with perforants, which are antibiotics like nystatin, gramicidin. These are the selective molecular hole punchers. As a result, this molecule creates tiny channels that let monovalent ions pass through for electrical access, but they are too small for the larger essential molecule to escape. As a result, we get root access to the electrical signals without changing the cell's internal source code. Maximum data, zero trace. Now it's time to flip the script with mod 3, inside out. This is one of the coolest maneuver in the patch clamp playbook. We start with the cell attach mode and then quickly retract the pipette. If you do it right, a small piece of membrane tears away while the Giga-Seal stays rock solid. You have literally ripped off a piece of cell wall off, exposing the hidden cytosolic or intracellular surface to the outside. This is the ultimate way to investigate single channel activity. Since the inside of the cell is now facing the outside bath, you can easily drop in chemicals to see exactly how internal cell chemistry governs that specific channel. It's the total control over the cell's internal environment from the outside. Last but definitely not the least, we have mod 4, outside out. As I like to call it, the bubble. We start from the wholesale mode. Remember, that's the one where we have already breached the mainframe. As we slowly retract the pipette, the ruptured end of the membrane actually find each other and reconnect or annul. It's formed this perfect self-contained vesicular structure. In this setup, the intercellular fluids is trapped inside the bubble, while the extracellular surface, the part that normally faces outside world, is exposed to our bath. This is the ultimate arrangement for studying external chemical signals. If you want to see exactly how neurotransmitters or new drug influence the channel activity from the outside, this is your go-to move. We have basically built an isolated testing environment for the cell's receptor. Alright, let's wrap this up with the ultimate patch clamp cheat sheet. If you want to know which mode to use for your mission, here's the breakup. All right, let's look at the master plan, hacking the biomainframe. If you have been following the stream, this is your complete Gen Z guide to the patch clamp technique. The initial breach starts with the 10 billion Ohm Kiss. We're establishing a Giga-Seal to ensure 100% current capture. We are hunting just 1 picoampere, that's 1 trillionth of an ampere, and then choosing your OS. The vibe is control versus react. You either go voltage clamp to control the environment or current clamp to spark the environment and measure the reaction. And harder modes, this is a rip and tear flowchart. Mod 1, the watt trap, which is stealth surveillance. Mod 2, wholesale. Brute force hacking for macro electrical mapping. The stealth variant using antibiotic hole punctures like nystatin for access without messy washout. Mod 3 and 4 basically flipping the script or creating the bubble to test internal chemistry or neurotransmitter. Biodata uplink is 100% stable. Mission accomplished. 4 pack, 1 goal. Total root access to the biological mainframe. At the end of the day, we didn't just invent a way to watch microscopic cells exist. We cracked the root password to the human body. From a single microscopic glass tube to the sum total of human consciousness, the patch clamp technique is a revolution. It did not just let us see the cell's electrical grid, it gave us the exact hardware modes and software tools to hack it. This is how we understand neurological disease, design targeted drugs, and ultimately heal the system. Did this sparks your curiosity? Subscribe for more premium deep dives into the machinery of life and drop your electrophysiological questions in the comments below. This has been Illusion Hashtag Decoding Knowledge, Defining Reality. System disconnected. See you in the next breach.